Good morning, ladies, gentlemen, non-binary peoples. This is Bronson's By Any Means Necessary Fantasy Football Talk for Friday, September 16th. This will be my final Week 2 Spikes and Yikes video. This will be the running backs. I always like to save the best for last. Running backs is the best position for me, or to me, so or the most important position to me. This list will exclude the running backs who played in yesterday's game. Unfortunately, Austin Eckler, he's going to be, a regular top 10 guy on a weekly basis. And if Clyde Edwards-Helaire keeps playing like he has been, he's going to probably be weekly top 20. So you'll have to keep that in mind. They would be on this list if they hadn't played already. Not a whole lot going on today, still early in the morning. I did get a girl's phone number this morning, a coworker, a girl that I've been kind of flirting with for a couple of weeks now. We're talking, so that's, a pleasurable experience. It's nice to feel wanted by somebody. Have that optimism of a budding relationship again. And then, God, I look like I got in a fight or like fell off my bike or fell down some stairs or something. It's just ridiculous. I wonder how long this is gonna last. How long am I gonna have to deal with being even uglier than I normally am? Get my brakes fixed in about 3 hours. After I do this video, I'm probably gonna take a nap. And I'm gonna wake up, drop my car off, and then I'm gonna go to the movies, and then I'm gonna come back, and hopefully my brakes are done. This shouldn't take them longer than a couple hours, 2.5 hours. And yeah, I guess let's get to it. Let's get to the running backs. Let's do the top 30 list first, and then I'll get to my spikes and yikes, which I actually have a lot more spikes than yikes. I'm not super hating on the list. Let me see here. I think I got about four guys I'm yiking, and about 7 that I'm spiking. So I'm not really sticking. Hold on, I need my pen. I'm not really sticking to my 3-and-3 format much anymore. But I may not even talk about all 7 of them. I may just go 4x4, but we'll see. Let's get to the top 30 list first, starting with the top 10. Your running back ones for week 2. You got Jonathan Taylor. Surprise, surprise. 2, Christian McCaffrey. 3 is Dalvin Cook, my boy, Dalvin Cook. 4, Saquon. Saquon went up all the way from like running back 16 to running back 4 in 1 week. And 5 is we got DeAndre Swift. After the week he had in week 1, not surprised there. 6, we got Leonard Fournette. 7, we got Joe Mixon. 8 is James Conner. 9, Derrick Henry. And 10, Alvin Kamara, who is questionable, but all accounts say that he's good to go and going to play. Your running back 2s, we got Najee Harris. Your running back, running back 2s, so 11 through 20. Najee Harris. At 12, we got Antonio Gibson. At 13, we got Javonte Williams. 14, Nick Chubb. 15, Aaron Jones. 16, we got Darrell Henderson. 17, we got Josh Jacobs. 18, A.J. Dillon. 19, Ezekiel Elliott. And 20 is Miles Sanders. Now, again, keep in mind Austin Eckler would have been in that running back 1 conversation, probably knocking Alvin Kamara down to the running back 2s. Clyde Edwards-Helaire probably would have been in the running back 2 conversation, knocking Miles Sanders and Ezekiel Elliott down to the running back 3 area. Now, running back 3s, 21 through 30, we got David Montgomery at 21, Kareem Hunt at 22, Cordarrelle Patterson at 23, Chase Edmonds 24, Michael Carter at 25, James Robinson 26, Rashad Penny 27, Jeff Wilson 28, Devin Singletary 29, and Travis Etienne at 30. All right, so let's get to the yiking part of this video. Didn't I say I had 4? 1, I gotta count again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so these are guys that are ranked in the top 30, which is gonna be, those are the guys that you're going to start, either top 20 are the guys that you should be starting, and then 21 through 30 are you're gonna be your flex options. All right, so my first yike for the week is Najee Harris at 11. I think he's a very talented guy, and he's going to get a lot of volume as long as he's out there. But so far in his career, he hasn't really looked outstanding. I mean, the volume, the productivity has been there because of the volume. It hasn't necessarily been efficient, and he is dealing with an injury. He was dealing with an injury coming into the season, and he seems to have aggravated it, so it's a little bit worse now. All accounts are he's going to play, but it is an injury to monitor. It potentially could get worse. He potentially could get knocked out of this game. I think it's very risky to trust that Najee Harris is going to perform at the running back 2 level or a high-end running back 2 level this week. I don't personally see it, even if he does stay healthy, because he will be facing New England, Bill Belichick's defense. Bill Belichick has made a very long and successful career out of shutting down the opposing offense's best weapon, and we all know that is going to be Najee Harris. We know that Bill Belichick is going to have a game plan to neutralize or minimize the impact that Najee Harris has on the game. And dealing with an injury, I don't like the circumstances. Obviously, we're all starting Najee Harris, but expectations for Najee should be tempered. He's a low-end running back 2 for me this week. Darrell Henderson at 16. I know he had a good week 1. I won't be surprised if he leads the Rams in carries again this week. However, I don't have him higher than the flex, because I really do think that Cam Akers, who spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about in my spikes, is going to have a much bigger impact on the game this week than he did last week. And then 19, I got Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, if this list was accurate, if I'd done this video yesterday, he would be in the running back 3 conversation. So I'm fine with him there. I'm fine with him outside the top 20 this week. I think Dallas is going to have some trouble against the Bengals this week. I think they're going to get blown out, which it means that Ezekiel Elliott is going to be a non-factor. And so, even though I was pretty high on Zeke Elliott coming into the season, it's looking like more of the same. Week 1 was a dud. Week 2 is probably going to be a dud. And as long as Dak Prescott is out, Ezekiel Elliott is probably going to be a dud. He is probably it's crazy how the mighty have fallen, but he is no more than a flex play for me for the foreseeable future. And then lastly, for my yikes, we're going to talk about David Montgomery. He's number 21, which means he's like your number 1 option at the running back position for flex this week. I'm not feeling it. Like I've been saying, I think Khalil Herbert is the more talented running back in Chicago, and Khalil Herbert is not going away. Khalil Herbert is going to have a role this week. He's going to have a role this season, and I know that David Montgomery, I think I would have Montgomery ranked higher than Herbert this week, because I think the Bears are going to be behind in this game. David Montgomery is much more he's much more of a factor in the passing game than Khalil Herbert is. Khalil Herbert is basically just a 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of running back. David Montgomery can provide you value, get you touches with dump offs and catches. So David Montgomery is going to be a bigger factor in this game, in my opinion, but I still don't have him. He's still not a high-end flex for me. We need to see more from David Montgomery this season, and less of Khalil Herbert, before I can trust David Montgomery as anybody to put in the top 25. Now for my spikes, I got a lot more. I don't know if I'm going to talk about them all. Let's talk about the guys real quickly in the top 30 who I think are a little underranked. Joe Mixon is 7. I think Joe Mixon's going to have a top 5 week this week against Dallas. If that game turns out like I think it will, which I said I think it's going to be a blowout, that's going to mean more work for Joe Mixon, possibly multiple touchdowns for Joe Mixon. That's going to put him in the top 5 conversation. For me, I don't know who he's going to knock out of this top 5 because I don't really hate this top 5 this week. I guess if I had to pick somebody, I guess probably Saquon. Honestly, probably Saquon. But I don't know. I definitely don't hate Saquon being a top 5 running back because he was outstanding in week 1, and Saquon's been a running back 1 his whole career when he's been 100% healthy. So, yeah, Joe Mixon a little undervalued. Nick Chubb at 14, I think he's undervalued. I'd have him probably up. I'd probably put him at 11. I'd have him where Najee Harris is. I don't know if I'd have him as a running back 1, just because everybody ahead of him I think is probably more deserving of being there. But Nick Chubb against that's next week. I don't remember who the Browns are playing this week, but I like Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb gets a lot of volume, and he just is so productive with the work that he gets. I know the Cleveland offense can sustain 2 very, very fantasy relevant running backs in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and they both are going to be players that you are going to want to start pretty much every single week. But I like Nick Chubb as more of a high-end running back too, less of a middle of the pack running back too, and then some guys who are outside the top 20 who I'm not sure why they're so low, but let's go with let's start with Devin Singletary, 29. I'm not the biggest Devin Singletary fan. I don't think he's super talented. I think he's going to eventually lose his job to James Cook. James Cook needs some more experience. James Cook looked terrible in week 1. He looked good in the preseason, terrible in week 1. Eventually, before the season ends, I think that's going to be James Cook's job. So that's why I kind of avoided Devin Singletary in drafts, because yes, Devin Singletary is going to produce in this Bills offense while he's out there, and he could be the running back 1 for most of the season. But my huge concern is he's not going to be running back 1 for me of the Bills when the playoffs start, and that's what I care about the most. So Devin Singletary is going to produce probably a top 25 running back weekly, in my opinion, as long as he's the starter for Buffalo. 29 is a little bit low. I would have him much higher on this list, definitely high 20s for me. I would definitely have him ahead of David Montgomery, Chase Edmonds, Cordell Patterson, and Michael Carter, all those guys up in the 23, 24, 25 range. And then the Jaguars running backs, James Robinson, 26, Travis Etienne at 30. James Robinson was out freaking standing coming off an Achilles injury. The Achilles has been a hugely debilitating injury up until even just a few years ago. Remember how Durant missed a whole year? Who was it that had that injury before? Basketball players. It's just up until very, very recently, the Achilles has been a hugely inconvenient injury that has completely derailed careers. Kevin Durant was really the first guy who came back as good as he was before the injury. The Achilles up to that point knocked athletes out for a year, and they were never the same player again afterwards. So, and now with James Robinson, who he just blew that Achilles at the very end of last season, so it was January, and he's back on the field killing it with multiple touchdowns in September. That's outstanding. That's like Adrian Peterson's recovery from that ACL. And so, we know what happened with Adrian Peterson. He went on to have a 2,000-yard season and an MVP. So maybe we were all sleeping on James Robinson too much. Maybe he's going to put up a 2,000-yard season and an MVP season. And Travis Etienne is going to be a complete non-factor in this offense again. Probably not. But obviously, James Robinson is a much better player. He's a tremendous value at his ADP, and those of us who pass on him, big whiff there. James Robinson's going to be a factor as long as he's healthy. And what an amazing story, anyway. Completely undrafted guy, completely unknown. No one knew anything about this guy. No one even knew this guy was going to be the starter for Jacksonville till like the day before the game. So nobody drafted this guy. Nobody picked this guy up on waivers. And then he just goes out there and has been a freaking stud for the entirety of his career, and it's incredible. James Robinson's an incredible story. What a guy! Like, I want to see a movie about James Robinson, like his NFL career. It's only been like 3 years, but amazing. Like, it's a story written by Disney, but it's all true. And then, so James Robinson, 26, I think that's low. Again, I would have him higher than Montgomery, Cordarrelle Patterson, Chase Edmonds, Michael Carter. I would have him up in the high 20s, maybe even probably top 20. I would put him ahead of Henderson, Jacobs, Elliott, Sanders. I would have James Robinson probably up in my top 15, honestly. And then Travis Etienne, I think this is going to be the week we see Etienne kind of go off against the Colts. I think this offense, with how talented these running backs are, there's no reason that they shouldn't be utilizing both of them as much as possible. They're both outstanding in the passing game. They're both outstanding runners. It would only help Jacksonville's offense if they used them both. But Travis Etienne, I suspect the Jaguars are probably gonna trail in this game, and as effective as James Robinson is in the passing game, he does catch touchdown passes. He did catch a touchdown pass last week. Travis Etienne is a little bit more of a dynamic receiver. Travis Etienne is like James Robinson is like normal, like a good running back level receiver. Travis Etienne is like a receiver playing running back and receiver. He's a step above. And I know that there was some talk about utilizing Travis Etienne in the slot this season for Jacksonville. They should definitely do that, with James Robinson obviously being completely healthy. That would get Travis Etienne more touches and keep him in sync with this offense and keep fantasy managers happy. I know they don't give a shit about us, but I think this is going to be a game where Travis Etienne is going to start to live up to the hype that he had coming into the season. So 30 for me, a little bit low. I would definitely have him maybe not a whole lot higher, but definitely up higher in the 20s. He's much more of a high to mid flex for me. So yeah, running back, although like it doesn't seem like running back is a deep position right now, it really kind of is. There's a lot of good running backs right here that are going to be very useful for you this week. Now, two guys outside the top 30 that I'm high on this week. I already talked about him a little bit. Cam Akers down all the way down to 41. Like, Cam Akers went from being like a third round pick to touching the ball, like, how many times he touched the ball in week 1? Like 12 months. And now he's like ranked at 41. He came into the season ranked as like the number 11 running back or something. He's all the way down to 41 in 2 weeks. I think we're being a little hard on Cam Akers. Sean McVay has already gone on the record as saying that he's gonna make a better effort to get the ball into Cam Akers' hands. And we know Sean McVay is a good coach, so he's gonna make that happen. Cam Akers, this is gonna be a big week for Cam Akers. Less of a big week for Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson is low-end flex for me. Cam Akers is going to be up in the high 20s for me. And then Khalil Herbert, he's not, like I said at the top of the episode, he's not going away. He's way down at 48 this week. I don't know if I'd flex him. I think he's definitely still outside my top 30. But definitely higher than 48. I'd have him in my high 30s. So it's just outside that flex tier for me this week because, I mean, I don't really see, there's nobody in this top 30 that I would completely drop out of this top 30. So I don't know where I would even be able to make room for Khalil Herbert in this top 30. But yeah, I'd have Khalil Herbert like 31, 32. Definitely high end, just outside the top 30. So just in a deeper league, 12 team or higher, Khalil Herbert could certainly be a flex option for you. But yeah, like you would think you would think Khalil Herbert would, with how much work and production he got last week, would be a little bit more of a serious flex option this week, but no, it's still early in the season. We still don't have, thank God, no major running back injuries. So I mean, it's bound to happen. It sucks, but it's gonna happen. And I just hope the player can make a full recovery and come back next year and be just as good or better, just as strong or stronger. I don't wish any ill will on any of these guys. You just, it's going to happen, and then that's going to, get Khalil Herbert a little higher up these rankings where, based on what he's done, he deserves to be. But, I mean, there's just no room for him. So yeah, I guess that's it. Another guy to watch who, I wasn't really going to talk about. I'm already over 20 minutes, so what's the point? Kenneth Walker should be back for Seattle today. He's way down at 49. I think he's that low because he's still very questionable. There's still no official word on whether he's going to play or not. Definitely not a flex option yet, but I do anticipate him being a major factor for Seattle this season, and probably sooner rather than later, like possibly week 3 is when we finally get the breakout game from Kenneth Walker. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out with Rashad Penny. I think Rashad Penny obviously is very talented. Seattle's obviously going to rely on the running game as much as possible this year, so they're both going to be weekly flex options. It's just, again, a lot of really strong options this week. I got something in my mouth. I'm sorry. I didn't brush my teeth yet today. So, I mean, if you flex Kenneth Walker, you got some balls. I respect that, but there's so many better options here that you shouldn't have to flex Khalil Herbert or Kenneth Walker this week. But maybe you're playing a hunch. I go by feel mostly anyway. Also, so if you're going by feel, you're playing a hunch that this is going to be the week that Khalil Herbert finally gets to 20 touches, the 150-yard 2-touchdown day. David Montgomery either gets hurt or completely falls off the rails and falls out of favor into the doghouse, and you want to play that hunch, by all means. But I'm not saying I definitely wouldn't recommend it. I definitely think you got a nice list here. I'm just basically repeating myself at this point, so I'm gonna shut this off, probably take a nap, and then thank God I'm getting my break space today, because I'm stir crazy and I'm definitely getting a little anxious to make some money. So, and it sounds like Justin Herbert's okay. No broken bones. It's just gonna have to be a pain tolerance thing. I mean, I imagine that hurts. He's probably gonna have to deal with that. He's got some bruised ribs. He's gonna have to deal with that for a little bit. But best case scenario, nothing's broken. So, and he gets an extra couple of days to rest up before his game in week 3. So it's very fortunate for him. And congratulations to the Chiefs on that game. And so, all right. Peace, love, nacho fries. Best wishes, good luck. Hit me up with any fantasy advice questions you've got. The person that I helped last night with the Joshua Palmer situation, it worked out with that garbage time touchdown. So glad I played that hunch. Glad I trust my gut. I trust my instincts. And moved out. Her wide receiver options were not super great. Even the waiver wire didn't have much. So Joshua Palmer, in my opinion, was her best play. And looks like that worked out for her. So we'll see the eventual outcome on Monday. But all right.